All right, guys, so I'm going to cover the indexes, Bitcoin, the miners, China. I think that's it. So as far as the SPY, we've been having a melt up with very poor market breadth. It's pretty much went up ever since I called the bottom here. And even though it's going up, most of our stocks have been going down. But what I think we're running into here is I think we're running into the top, in which when we go into wave four, I think a lot of this money leaving is going to go into small and medium caps based on IWM. So currently, I can see essentially maybe a one, two, and if this is a microstructure of wave three, then I see a one, two, three, four, five. So I think we're ending this wave three on the purple line, which we go back into wave four, maybe pull back. I'm thinking it's going to be choppy since it's wave four. I think it's going to be like an A, B, C, D, and it might not even be too much retracement. It may just go sideways, right? If we went up to here, most common retracements are, for wave four is 38 to 50%. So in this area, which could make sense. So that's for SPY. If we look at IWM, on Monday I called a pullback and I thought that I posted that I think we will be bottoming in this little crescent, in which I think it's already happening. We already had a really strong move out of there Monday, and then a little bit of a move Tuesday, but we pulled back. The reason given is, this is the 60 to 78% retracement, which is common for five-wave structure up. This is also the VPOC of all of this sideways movement, right? If you think about it, it's also an SR flip for all of this, right? So if I was to say that about this area is what used to be resistance, as you can see, rejection, 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 now support and support. So those are something to consider. Let's see if there's anything with the moving averages. I think there actually was somewhere. Common areas for an uptrend is between the 100 and 200-day moving average. Hit the 100 here, hit the 100 here for higher, hit the 200 here for higher. Cycle after that, 200, 200, 200, 200 for all the uptrends, right? And that was all the way back to 2017. So it's kind of common to go in this area and find a higher high. Now, typically, if it already back tested once, usually it's like a higher low type scenario, right? Another situation is this is all demand, right? Which is why I have it here. This is weekly demand, but this is also demand up here too. So demand with VPOC, which means the largest price range of the most shares traded. So this is the highest level of demand. And it kind of works as a line in the sand. We also have both of these ascending supports, these white lines. So I usually think of that kind of like a band, right? So this frontal line of this is support and the back of this one is support. So it's just like a wide band of support. Another thing is this ascending channel. It's kind of hard to see because I have so much stuff. This one, the bottom area of this red line, support, support, maybe support here. And then also inverse to that on the downtrend, resistance, resistance, support, and then support in this area. So overall, all of that confluence is why I was rationalizing, I think we get a bottom here. Now, given the strong move, I think we might rally, maybe pull back some based on SPY, or we could pull back this week and then go higher. But another one is this descending support, right here, support, 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 and then support, which is exactly where we bounced out of. So there's a lot of confluence for this being a bottom, and this represents the support for small mid cap, which is the majority of what we're in. You can also think of this as the SR flip on the ADL line, was resistance. You can kind of see the whole thing, right? Resistance, rejection, kind of tried to find support, but then during unknown time, but found resistance here, finally broke through and got above it. Resistance, resistance, resistance. Now it's finding support. And for multiple days, we found support. And even though price dropped from 202 to like 197, the ADL line stayed the same, which shows accumulation during the stage. So in my opinion, a lot of support in this area, a lot of confluence for support in this area, which is why I think we're bottoming. Then let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a little hard to read, but I found something else that's been helping. You know, if we look at kind of like all the altcoins, man, they've been demolished, you know, dropping 30, 40%. Um, and I think this is just a reset. You know, like I bought here, this is a triple bottom, and then we have a monthly demand zone here. But I do think it's possible. Uh, we may get one more drop, but I'll show you what I see. So for months, right? For months, I've been saying that this is the bottom, 59 to 56K. As long as we don't get a weekly close under 59K, which we never did, you know, if you look, the lowest weekly close was 61,000. So we tripped under 59K to hit that 56K area that I warned of, but then we rejected it and we closed back above it, which is bullish. And I can tell you something that's kind of concerning for me is this. We really need to get above this blue line. We're having a similar situation, but it's been the trend. You know what I mean? The trend here, the trend here, the trend here. Now, once again, it's also between the 100 and 200, you know, and historically, um, let's see. Oh, it's getting stuck. There we go. And an uptrend, you know, even all the way back to 2017. Right, let's go all the way back. Between 100 and 200, you know, 100 and 200, keeping an uptrend, 100, 100 and 200, 100 and 200, 100 and 200, you know, 100 and 200, but then, you know, a lower high, but still try to defend it. And that was the first cycle. And then we can go to the next one, you know, and this one was short lived because of the interest rates. So it pretty much stayed above it the whole time. Hit it here once for a lower high, but overall, I don't think that's what's happening. And then the rally here stayed above the 100 the entire time. And then hit it here for kind of rally, you know, 26% rally, but then lower high. And then we've been having it this time. So, you know, we really need to get back above it, which I think we will. And I'll point this out. So originally, I was pretty concerned because I'm like, maybe this is a truncated fifth, you know, because we can see that a truncated fifth. I can see a 5-wave structure with a shorter wave 5, but you could in this, I could see 5 waves. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I was a little worried. And realistically, the thing that's got me worried the most is the MACD. It's only been this high once, and the time it was that high was here. You know, so that's got me a little worried. But even then, it did do a higher high. It just never crossed back over. And the further this gap's away, it could be a similar thing. Which this is supposed to be wave 3 of 5. You know what I mean? So that's possible for that to happen. Because you know, the entire time I've been thinking about this is, you know, we could go anywhere from like 80K, 75, 80K to like 100K. So it's hard to know. But essentially, that could be a higher high, and then we pull back for wave 4 into when then we go however high we go. You know, that's not measured to where it is, but could be possible happens. Okay, so call this bottom, and now I think this is the bottom. Now I can see an A, B, C. This could be an A, B, C for a wave B, and then this could be an A, B, C, in which we come a little lower, or this could be done. I don't think it is. I think, you know, because if this was to happen, I mean, this would be great because if this was only a 50% retracement of this 5-wave structure, that means this next wave is going to be extremely strong. But typically, you know, we get down to the 60 to 78% retracement, which is why I have this crescent taking us down here. Now, you know, another thing that helps me keep a bullish bias is the miners holding up, which I'll talk about in a minute. But another one is the Bitcoin ETFs. So I was looking at the Bitcoin ETFs, and even though Bitcoin is a little hard to see, and I'm like, maybe that's a truncated fifth, is that the finished wave 5 to where we're going to enter wave 4? If that was entering a wave 4, then we could go all the way down here, which would literally destroy us, right? Like what that could be is this. And if that were to happen, god damn, that would suck. But I have a bias because of the Bitcoin ETFs. Even though Bitcoin is hard to read, this is not, in my opinion. I think this is very good for reading. So this is a Bitcoin ETF. I can see a clear 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is wave 1. I can see a clear wave 2, which once again, that was a little concerning with the 50% retracement, but that definitely looked like an ABC. Now, could that be an A, B, C? Maybe, but B waves aren't typically 5-wave structures. And that's kind of the argument that I have there. B waves are not 5-wave structures. And that's clearly a 5-wave structure, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna assume that this is wave 1 of wave 3, right? And wave 1 of wave 3, realistically, is typically at least a 161. So that looks like 100% gain from here. So we may have to get some options in this, 80% gain. But so given this chart, it gives me a little bit of a more confident bias with Bitcoin. I see a 5-wave structure here. Now I see an ABC correction, which is also head and shoulders. So if we look at this one, head or shoulder, head, shoulder, and it's playing out. And then this is the bottom of the arm, right? In which it's playing out into where inversely, it's a inverse head and shoulders for a higher high, right? It is also gap filling, also 3-day demand, also 50 to 61% retracement. Now, something that gives me a little bit of a bias to where it's like maybe we already bottomed is the fact that this one was a 50% retracement. So this one could also be where we bottomed yesterday. We'll know. If I expect if we start rallying pretty hard with Bitcoin, then the bottom's most likely in. Now, I wouldn't put it against Bitcoin making a lower low and then this actually filling the gap. Getting in this 3-day demand, filling this gap, hitting the 61% retracement, maybe even a little bit under it. And that's not that big of a deal because it's only 3% away. Another thing that's giving me confidence is first and foremost, Wolf literally going parabolic. How about that? So disrespectful. And this is why I'm a little worried, So what the market makers in Wall Street do is they train you to take early profit. Then when you take early profit, what happens? Like we closed our position down around like 316 and then it proceeded to run another 46%. And that's kind of like what I was worried about with Tesla. But that's what they're training retail to do, right? They're making us regret not taking profit every time. Testing. Okay. They're making us regret not taking profit every single time. To the point where when you do take profit, then you're like, fuck, I wish I would have done more, right? So this is what I'm possibly looking at for Wolf if this is a 5-wave structure. Or that could be an ABC wave. But so Wolf was giving us a sign, right? Iron is giving us a sign, right? It's like the world's not ending. One of our traders literally sold it right here. He's really hell bent right now, and he had like 25K in options, and he rallied another 100%. He's got to be sick to stomach. But both of those have given us a sign. And now I've always had this thesis about June 15th for the miners, right? Well, let's look at this. I'm almost to the point where I'm like, we probably need to make CLSK on our trade list. What happened to my stuff? Give me a second. Okay, there we go. I was like, what in the world? So, ADL line. Check this out. ADL line created here, which created support, demand. We hit it over here. Check how it worked. And this works because I've tested it a million times. Inverse head and shoulders on the ADL line went up and it sparked this entire rally, this entire, 600% rally. Now we've hit this demand. What's being drawn out, guys? Inverse head and shoulders similar to this. It's already starting to play out. How much have we already rallied? 37%. Those look all like pretty strong candles, right? Now we're over here, you know, and we're breaking above. We're getting above the zero line. Is there anything on the weekly? Big ass curl on the weekly. I think miners are about to pop because not only does CLSK look like this, right? And the last time it happened, this happened. It also happened in tandem with Riot. Riot, descending support, right? What happened with all the descending supports? Every time this was tapped, it marked the bottom here for this rally for 115%. It marked the bottom here for this rally. Initially 170%, but for a totality of 289%. Now we're hitting this, right? How far have we rallied so far? We're up about 24%. Now this is the thing, right? I said I think I found the algorithm based on June 15th, right? Which is what it looked like. And this is exactly where we're at right here, right? Now check this out. This is, I think, the indicator that's going to be. So the descending resistances, when they broke out, that's when the big move happened. So that's what I'm looking at for here, right? We have this descending resistance, I think. So the thing is, I'm not sure if it's this descending resistance or this descending resistance. You can look at this and you can kind of see a break above and then a consolidation a little bit. Wait, that's not it. Yeah, it is. A little consolidation and a breakthrough. Well, what's happening right here? So we broke above this descending resistance and we are bull flagging right now. This is a bull flag, this is literally a flag. See it? We are bull flagging above this one. Now, I have a lot more confidence when we break above this one because this is also this pivot high and this one, but I think it's happening. I really think, you got to realize that altcoins are down. Testing. You got to realize altcoins are down 30% in a week. Bitcoin's down like 15%, and then miners are literally up on the week, in the last 2 weeks. If based on all the previous correlation with crypto, like this should literally be in my worst case scenario where it's like under this pivot low, we should be at fucking like $8 right now, based on how it had been responding to crypto for a while. Now, the only thing that's got me a little bit skeptical is we didn't exactly get this gap fill right here completely, but we did pull back and close some of it, and we haven't actually pulled back to the 61%. Once again, though, that looks like a wave one. Let me do this. This low key kind of looks like maybe wave one, two, and now this is wave one and then two. And if that's the case, because this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we don't pull back under 50%, and we start rallying from here, that's a big move, because that's shallow. The more shallow, the more strong. But that looks like to me the way Riot, and then check this out. Go back to CLSK real quick. The ADL line support right there, inverse head and shoulders. Watch this with Mara. Same thing, right? Got the demand zone here. We even have the same style. Look at this. Down, lower high, down, lower high, right? Lower low, lower low. This little pivot right here, which is what I think this one is, and then we started breaking off. So I literally think we're like here in the move. See it? Realistically, you could see that as like a little micro head and shoulders, right? So this is what it looks like. And then that was a little micro right shoulder. What is it over here? Head and shoulders. See it? Demand zone, double bottom. What happened at this bottom? This marked the move for this move, right? Which was, 285% and a total of 319%, but that was a deep pullback right here. What's happening on the chart? Inverse head and shoulders, right? You see it? Inverse head and shoulders. Then what happened? Pulled back to the 61% retracement, like it's supposed to. Pulled back to 2-day demand, starting to attempt to break above this descending resistance. If we break above this descending resistance, and especially this descending resistance, and realistically, let's go ahead and draw this one. So this is essentially that one, right? So if we break above this descending resistance, that's going to be a very bullish occurrence, and especially this one, right? And then especially this pivot high. But I think this rally is about to happen, right? And if it's about to happen, the next move is typically, okay, sorry to have it, it's typically between the 161 and the 261. So this next move, as a baseline from here, should take us to at least $32, which is a 60% move, but could take us all the way up to here to $40, right? So I think in this area, it's going to be like a wave 3 somewhere in here. Then we're going to get a deep retracement pullback, maybe something nasty like that. You see that ABC, and then we're going to go for a higher high. And realistically, if that was to happen from there, and then maybe here, and then maybe here, then you're looking at for wave 5 between, up here in the $60 to $80 range. And then imagine that the 261's at $82. So then it's in this area. And that's if we hit here. So this is what I'm looking at. And we break this descending resistance right here, right? Let's look at for the moving averages. These things are coiled. Look at this. They're literally coiled, waiting, and they're all getting. All of these are acting like a spring, and they're all tight, and there's none above us, right? Most likely similar to here. Yeah. So we got here, it rode sideways as the purple line came down. Then they all got really contracted, and then boom, right? So I think that's what's about to happen. I think the move's happening already. I think we start really feeling it by the end of the week, and I think we rally really hard into the end of the month, especially in miners, and most likely China, and most likely Tesla. I think that everything rallies coming. Looks like Mara might be lagging just slightly. It's not green yet on the MACD. Let's see if we got something here. It's starting to curl up, right? Oh man, that's beautiful too. I didn't even notice that. I didn't even look. I didn't even check the 200-day moving average. Look at this. The first rally in 2021, it had to get over this, but then the purple 325 line was under this one. This literally tells me with the 200 above 325 that this is going to be an actual bull cycle. Because once these fan out, it's literally a bull market. That's amazing. That makes me really happy. Let's see if there's anything on the monthly. Oh my God. Literally, holy shit. Even there's no moving average resistance on any time frame. And as you can see, this 200-day monthly moving average is becoming support. That is crazy. This is telling me that's why they've been holding off on more, because they're literally about to moonshot this motherfucker. Okay, that's that. Now, HSI, China. So I don't want to look it up. Essentially, a shit ton of stimulus news came out last night. Literally like 20 plus tweets from the Chinese government. And realistically, I think the one that said the I think one that said the most is they presented an 8-step plan of stimulus and to help the economy. And I did research a few months ago, and that's literally what they did after the recession, after the 2008 crash. So I was waiting for them to have some type of multi-step program, because they kept talking about stimulus, but then they never did it. Or they did, but it's just kind of like here and there. But now they have like an 8-step program to literally restructure the economy within China, which is, I think, why this happened. If you look, it's up 2.8% yesterday. That's really good. And the cool thing is this is literally exactly where it needed to be, right? Literally everything worked out the way it was supposed to be. And what I mean by that is, the 100-day moving average is literally the key area of support when you have a moving average strategy. The white line is the key area of support with the moving average strategy. So based on the moving average strategy, the white line did what? It supported. So moving average strategy, everyone that trades a moving average strategy believes that this is a real move. Now, let's get rid of the moving averages and let's just look at technicals of the chart. Based on this, let me actually do the futures. Based on this, I see a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. Wave 4 should pull back to the 50% retracement. 50% retracement right here, which it did. This 50% retracement was also 2-day demand. This 50% retracement is also all of this consolidation right here, which is weeks of demand, right? Like literally, if I was to, let's do this. As you can see, high amounts of support here because of this, and then there's a huge amount down here, right? So based on structure, shares traded, this is it. This is where it should have found support. Did it find support? Yes, it did, right? Another thing, if we go here, let's go here. Realistically, if you were to build a ascending support here, it hit it. It hit it, it broke below it a little bit, but then it broke above. So to me, that looks bullish. The most important thing we need to do is we need to break this pivot high because we've had lower high or lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high. Now we need a higher low, but that's on the smaller time frame from these parts. But this is a major higher high, and so is this one. So we need to break above this one to be really confident of buying the dips. Okay. So we have 2-day demand. We have the 50% retracement, which is the common area for wave 4. Wave 5 says we literally get up here in the 21,000 area. What's the 21,000 area? It's also the 200-week moving average, right? 200-week moving average and weekly supply. I think this is very probable, right? So that's the the SPY version of China. Now let's look at BABA. The most important one is this line right here. I know this looks like a mess. Let me try to actually get rid of some of it. This white line right here, this is descending resistance. Did I delete something? I did. Let's see. Interesting. Anyways, it's very weird. Yeah, okay, there we go. So this white line is descending resistance, right? Resistance was resistance, but then it was bouncing, 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 then broke through. Now, looking at it to be an SR flip, right? This is also between the 60 and 71% retracement. This is also a gap fill, okay? This is also a common ABC retracement for wave 1. And also, if we look here, this is the bulk of the shares traded, right? If we started breaking under this, then that means all the shares traded is going to act as resistance. But instead, all of this demand, this is demand, shares traded, is acting as support, right? Last night, HSI is up 2.8%. BABA is up like 3%. So this it's going to trade tonight, so it might even be higher. But based on last night's trading, if the market was trading today, it would have been at like $77, right? Now, given the most important thing is we really need to get above this pivot high of $80 now, because that's a high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Now we need to break above this $80 for a higher high. Then we can buy the dips with the higher lows, which I think we will. I think that'll be fine, right? So it's something to consider, something to look at. NEO, deep retracement. I said in the weekend update that this is probably a gap fill area, and that's probably what's going to happen. We have an ABC structure. We're hitting the gap fill area. It was starting to curl and show relative strength with Tesla. Starting to curl. So this is what NEO is doing, in my opinion. it is fighting for this descending resistance on the ADL line, right? And if it can just start breaking above, and if we start breaking above this pivot, I think we're off to the races. I think this is going to be higher high, higher low aspect of the ADL line. Then we literally rally from here. I didn't show you the BABA one, but the BABA one has a massive ADL crescent. And so far, it's been flawless. I called the bottom over here and we bought a lot. We're currently accumulating more shares than when price was $120 a share. So I think it's just a matter of time before literally BABA just starts and it just doesn't stop. We're also running out of room as we run into the edge of this. Same thing with XBEV. Gap fill. Filling out that inverse head and shoulders. You know, entering the buy zone, entering the gap fill, completely filled the gap, finishing the ABC structure. Just doing everything it needed to, just wasn't patient enough to buy the bottom just because it was very delayed. You know, I did not expect us to start rallying until the third week, you know, the end of the third week of June. And then Tesla. Oh man, I'm very sorry about this one. I've left a lot of profit on the table just due to mistrading it. You know, I've essentially called exactly what's going to happen the entire time. Just I expected them to just let it rally, and instead they're training retail to take profit. And if we would have taken profit, then we would have been sitting really pretty. You know, we should have taken profit here. We should have bought here. Should have sold here when one of the gentlemen in the Discord asked. But I thought we was literally going to run into this. It just, you know, when you get a candle like this, you would think of a continuation. Typically, when you get a candle like that, right, continuation, right, at least a little bit of something. You know, a little bit of something, a little bit of something, a little bit of something. We didn't. It literally reversed on us. So, I mean, you can't, you know, very small room for error. Anyways, vote happened, wrapped up, rallied, pulled back to where I said it would. You know, this is SR flip, a retesting of all of this support, right, in this area, right? And then we rallied again. And currently, I think this is an inverse head and shoulders building up, and I think we're going to rally probably into the end of the week. I'm hoping that this happens. I'm hoping this gives us 200 by Friday. That would be amazing. I would really like to see a gap and go tomorrow and just us rally straight to 200. That would be beautiful. But, you know, we got to see what happens and see what they do. You know, undoubtedly, I think, you know, the bottom is in. I don't think we're seeing 140 ever again. I really don't think we are getting under 167 ever again. I think this, you know, when I told everyone to buy the 2026 contracts right here, I think that was the last opportunity. I really do. I think from here, I think we're going to rally higher. And I think this is an ABC structure, you know, which is possibly what it is. That could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to be honest. I'll have to see how this one plays out. But regardless, I think we're going up to 230. You know, the measure moves 230, a weekly supply up here, just a lot of stuff, descending resistance. This has been the trend for so long. So we got to see what happens here. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. I think we literally rally till the end of the month on everything. You know, maybe not weed. I think weed might fuck around a little bit longer. I think they're waiting on a catalyst, and we just got to let the fucking government speak on it. And then, but then I think it's literally going to rally 100% in a week. It's just going to pop up out of nowhere, and it's going to pay us. But that is all for now. Hopefully this video isn't too long, and enjoy.